What's up, Internet? Welcome to the tutorial/demo of Final Touch, the new mastering application for iPad by Positive Grid, the witches and wizards who brought you Bias and Jam Up. The song we are using today is Dark Horse, the cover I did for the Bias demo. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, the first thing that I do in mastering is a bit of pre-EQ. Now, if we listen to the song, it's a bit dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this on, and I'm going to jump over here and throw on a high shelf right around 5 or 6K. Just about 5 dB, not a whole lot of a boost, just a bit for crispy. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here and throw this guy at about 50 hertz, which is the low sub-frequency of my kick drum. I'm going to drag my Q quite tight, and then I'm going to boost just about 2 dB. Not a whole lot. We don't want to go crazy. We just want to add a little finesse. So now I'm over here dragging this fella to about 100, which is the higher sub-frequency of my kick drum. Awesome. I'm going to pull my Q over again and boost just about 2 dB. Sweet. All right. Now I'm going to jump over here, pull that Q over again, and I'm going to throw this right about 210 hertz, which is the frequency of my snare drum in this track, sort of the thump. Obviously, all of these frequencies depend on your instrument and what you used, so do a little bit of experimenting and you will find what is right for you. So, what I'm going to do now is a bit of mid-side EQ. Mid-side refers to the mono and stereo channels. So, what I'm going to do is pull out about 2 dB of those frequencies I just boosted on the side channels. Because if you think about it, your kick and your snare are mono channels, so they don't really have any business existing in your side. So just pull them out just a little bit, about 2 dB, nothing crazy. Now I'm going to jump over here to my mid channel, and just make sure, I just moved them just a little bit. There we go. Pull that down to about 2 dB. Just boost just a little bit. Awesome. Sweet deal. So our EQ is now completed. And we move on to the dynamics portion. All right. So we're here at dynamics. Let's start the track up. Now, I don't do a whole lot in my dynamics section in my mastering. I just sort of try and level my sub out just a little bit. So I'm going to drag this bottom slider so that we're affecting from 0 hertz to about 220 hertz. Obviously, got to turn it on. So I've done that. And I'm going to pull my threshold down to about 46. So that every bit is caught by this compressor. I'm not going to compress a whole lot. I'm just going to pull my ratio up to like there. So it's not a whole bunch of crazy compression. It just affects everything, so everything's leveled out and consistent. But I want to move my attack just a little bit up to, let's say, maybe 20-ish, so that our transients are still allowed through. And so now that we're doing this compression, we've got a bit of gain reduction going on. So I'm going to pull this up just a little bit. Just about 2 dB. So now we got some nice consistent thumping subs. Awesome. Let's move on to our stereo imaging. So here we are with our stereo imager. Now, you'll notice when you drop it in, it actually will add just a bit of gain. So that's something to watch out for if you do not have a whole lot of headroom in your mix and you've been doing some hard EQing and dynamics. So you can go crazy and widen your track to reckless abandon and make it sound like the Taj Mahal. Or you can go ahead and just go for some nice black metal tin can. Just kidding. All right. But I want to keep this just a little chill, so I'm just going to pull this up, maybe add 0.4 dB of stereo width. Nothing crazy, but it does add a little bit. Very cool. All right, so let's move on to our reverb. All right, so we're moving on to our reverb. I'm actually going to pull it before this maximizer. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this maximizer all the way over here. Sweet deal. So let's start our song. And let's see what this does. Let's drop them in. Oh no, everything's gone. Well, you got to turn up your signals, buddy. So here's our stereo reverb. So it really depends on preference whether you want to end up using master reverb, but it can add a nice bit of glue for you. You know, if you have a very dry sounding mix, if you just add just a little bit in there, it can really glue things together. So I'm going to just leave a little bit of this dude in here. Right about there. That's cool with me. Awesome. Nice and gluey. And turn it off, see what it sounds like. Not a whole lot. It'll add a little bit of low end as well, which is nice. All right, let's move on to the maximizer. Ladies and gentlemen, the myth, the legend, the maximizer. This is the step of mastering that everyone loves to hate and loves to love. The loudness war, etc., etc. So, essentially, this is a big old limiter for your master track to get you to CD quality level. So let's go ahead and jump over here. So, now is the time. We're going to drag our margin, which is the peak level that the audio can be. And we're going to go ahead and just drag that down. Instead of 0 to about minus 0.4. And the idea behind that is that even though it is at 0 and not clipping, it can still clip on some older systems and that sort of thing. So you want to keep it just a little bit below 0. So here we are with all these wonderful dynamics and all this headroom. And guess what we're about to do? We're gonna make it loud. So, as for most things, this all comes down to taste. So I'm going to say right about here is pretty reasonable. And then I'm going to drag my release back just a little bit so it's a little less clippy. Maybe about here. Sounds pretty good. Maybe I can afford to push it a little harder. This, as most other things, all comes down to preference yet again. It is all what you like and what you want. I like to let my tracks breathe a little bit. Maybe I'll pull that release back a little bit. If you pull it all the way back, it's not very clippy, but you get sort of this kind of thing. Very pumpy. There you go. So we'll pull it to here and then sort of pull out just a little bit. Maybe even a little more. Sounds good to me. All right. Now, I'm going to turn this off just so we can... No, never mind. Now, dithering. Yet another myth. Dithering is essentially noise that is added to your signal, so fade-outs sound a bit less jumpy, I suppose is the word. So let's go ahead and throw a bit of dithering on here. And of course, we got to set it to our bit depth, which for me is 24 because that's what I exported. And yeah, I'm a fan of that. Maybe we'll pull this back just a little more. All right. Thank you, everyone. I believe that's about done. So, what do you say? We're done. Let's go ahead and we now come over here and we can export once again to local Dropbox, FTP, mail, or audio copy, which I would do Dropbox. And yes, thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day.